Okay, folks, I hope that you're well. What a treat it's been to have John on the show and edit these segments. If you missed segment 1, part 1, we'll link to it in the show notes description below. Make sure and check it out. In this segment, we're going to hear John's reaction to driving the R1T. We'll see how it compares to his Tesla Model S. He's had 2 Model S's over the past 8 years. We also get into discussion towards the end about tires and wheels. Part 3 is coming tomorrow. And beyond that, we have so many other great interviews. We've already talked to Bruce for 2 hours. He is a hoot and he has great stories. We got a couple other people that we're probably getting on the show soon that were also at the event. We're gonna do a little bit different format with them. We have Rivian Audio is gonna come on soon. Lots of great stuff, so please consider subscribing here. Also, don't forget that you can watch this entire interview with John over at rivianstories.com. Okay, let's get into part 2 of our interview with John.
We did the tour 2 different times. So we put on our PPE gear again, put us in the golf carts, drove us all around the factory, looking at things, again, went out to the experience center, and then we started driving. And they had all sorts of displays set up in there. They had the tent set up in there on the back of a truck. They had all of the color swatches of the interior materials, as well as the paint swatches, all laid out there on a table for us. And I've got photographs of all that I'll send you to look at.
So cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then they were moving vehicles around, bringing in different vehicles with different colors and different accessories on them and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. We started our own test drives in. So you know, if you wanted to test drive, you just said, "Hey, I'm ready." Yes, right. Well, yes, but when you were ready, you just said, "Hey, I'm ready," you know, and they'd say, "Okay, you can be, next or whatever," because they let all of our plus ones drive as well. So awesome. Some were spouses, some were friends. But yeah, cool. The plus ones also got to drive, so it was a blast.
Neat.
And when we drove, they would let you take somebody with you, like if your spouse wanted to ride with you or whatever, you and Max or RJ and your spouse, if you want them to go. And I said, "Come on, honey, let's go." And she said, "I'm not riding with you." I drive a Tesla now, and I drive it pretty fast. And she said, "You'll make me sick." She said, "You just go by yourself." So she didn't ride with me. So when it was my turn to drive, it was pouring rain. And we'd had little rain showers on and off, but it was pouring rain. But I went out and I drove that truck like I had stolen it. It was it was crazy. I was on the dirt track, trying to drift that thing around the dirt track and doing a great job of it, because it's got all these modes that you can select to allow you, for what kind of driving you want to do. So I was drifting that thing around the dirt track, and then went onto the off-road track in the middle of the oval and climbed. They had this one mountain that was, I think he said, a 65% grade. And I don't know what that is in degrees, but it's not a 65-degree hill, but 65% grade anyway. So I went up the backside of that mountain over the rocks, got up to the top, and this is still in the pouring rain, went down the dirt side of that mountain on that 65% grade, and it was just rock solid. The vehicle was incredible. And then when I got to the bottom, I said, "Do you think this thing will make it up backwards?" He said, "Yeah, probably." So I put it in reverse and backed all the way. Yeah, and backed all the way back up that 65% grade hill in the dirt in the pouring rain.
Oh my goodness!
And barely even felt a wheel slip. Barely, just awesome. Hardly imperceptible that a wheel slipped. But it was just amazing, to be honest with you, that what that vehicle was capable of. And when I came off that dirt hill, then I went and hit the hard track. And I took it a little easy because my tires were just covered in mud coming down off of that hill. Took it a little easy down the back stretch, but then by the time I got to the far end of the oval, it felt like all the mud was off. Didn't hear it slinging anymore. Hit the far turn at about 60 miles an hour when it had a little 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on it. Did not break it loose on that turn. Just hit the straightaway and floored it, and it felt just amazing. Every bit as powerful and as fast as my Model S 100D that I drive now.
Okay.
It was quick. So I didn't get to 129 myself. Another guy did that, but mine topped out right at 120. So
which is still ridiculous.
Still in the pouring rain. Yes.
In the rain, absolutely.
In the rain. In the pouring rain. And it still felt just solid as a rock. I mean, so tight. Yeah. It was amazing.
And we've Google Earth that track and kind of know that straightaway is just about a half mile. So I mean, it's doing that 120 in the rain and having to slow down before the next turn in a half mile. So
yeah, no, it was, and it didn't. I mean, everything felt strong on the car. The brakes felt strong. You know, it was. It was good.
For region braking purposes, you know, you're just now talking about your Tesla. What would you compare? Would you compare the two, or is the Rivian stronger?
No, the thing I really loved about the Rivian, the regen is a complete stop regen. In my Tesla, if you're pointed downhill and you let your foot off the brake and it's regenning, it will never stop. It will just keep on rolling down the hill.
Right.
Yes, but with the Rivian, it appears we're going to be able to do true one-pedal driving, where if you let off the pedal all the way, it will come to a stop. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah. It felt really good. And it did have and they told me, I asked them, I said, the regen didn't feel as strong right at first. He said, well, you were going 120 miles an hour. So, so of course it didn't feel as strong. So you got a lot of weight here. He said, but plus we feather it. He said, we don't, give it full right at the beginning when you let off when you're going really fast, because we don't want it to jerk you and make somebody run into you from behind or something. So
smart.
But I did let it completely stop, even on that 120 mile an hour run down the straightaway. I did let it come to a complete stop. It was great.
That's awesome. And what configuration were you doing the drive in? Was it the 21s, 20s, or 22s?
No, I was on 20 all-terrain 20s. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, all-terrain 20s on the truck, and that's the way I went ahead and configured mine too. Well, I configured the truck that way with all-terrain 20s, and I've configured the R1S with the Sport 22s.
Cool.
So we're gonna have both. Yeah.
So any kind of we got to get back maybe to your highlight reel because it's not over yet. But now we're going on these questions. Were the 20s on the pavement? Did you feel smooth? Did you feel loud? Did you feel quiet? What was the deal?
No, it was. I was surprised how smooth and how quiet it was. And when you look at them, they don't have great big knobs on them. Like some off-road tires. But I was really shocked, and one of the reasons I was actually considering getting 22s on my truck. But after I drove these 20s, I said, well, that's all I need. I'm going to get the 20s because I love the size of the tire and the off-road capability that those 20s give you. And it was plenty quiet and plenty smooth. Yeah.
Awesome. I joke around here that I don't do much off-roading as in sporting, but the Illinois roads are always off-road. And so I have my R1S configured with the 22s. But the 20s have really grown. From the very beginning, I liked all the rubber just because I do drive in the country a lot on actual like gravel roads and whatnot. And so I'm like, ugh, man, those 20s would be better. But then you don't want to. I mostly am a pavement guy. But it's great to hear that there's just a lot of phenomenal feedback with the 20s that you're really not giving up much in terms of performance, grip, and quietness. Is the big thing too.
No, I was surprised. I have had 4 trucks before in my life, and I was really surprised at how nice those 20s were on the pavement.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Okay, that's it for part 2. I can't stop grinning. I just think it's so cool. But please consider subscribing so you don't miss our future part 3 and many other great episodes. And don't forget, you can catch the full interview at rivianstories.com. Thanks, folks.